Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Press A to Jump, a series where I talk about first levels of video games that I think are really exceptional, or terrible, or just plain interesting. Alright folks, I'm about to share something so important to me that I just gotta shout it. I love Undertale! Undertale is a masterpiece. It's one of the best video games I've ever played that I recommend to anybody and everybody. Seriously, even if you've never played a video game before, probably start with Tetris or Super Mario Bros. 3 or something, but when you're done with those, please try out Undertale. It's so good, constantly funny, the music is in a class of its own, just play it! Sorry, just wanted to gush a bit. Let's get back on track. When it fully launched in 2015, Undertale went from critical and internet darling to completely overplayed meme pretty much overnight, and its sudden popularity led to some people deriding it as nothing more than a cheap viral fad as a result. But me? No. I obviously live under the world's coziest rock, because not only did I not play Undertale until early 2019, but I managed to completely miss the whole hype followed by hate train the game initially got hit by. Sure, I'd seen the blue-eyed skeleton around the depths of Twitter and Reddit, and of course I heard the doo-doo-doo-doo a few hundred times. I don't live under a rock or anything. But yeah, I missed or simply didn't pay attention to all of the hoopla that this game got when it first came out. And thank God too, because going into Undertale fully blind was a gaming memory that I'll truly never forget. All of that being said, while I can easily yammer on about this game as a whole, today I only want to focus on Undertale's starting area, titled The Ruins. I feel that The Ruins is one of the greatest tutorial areas of any game out there because it perfectly sets up the player for the funny, bizarre, and thought-provoking tale they're about to experience, while underlining the game's larger themes of morality and choice, without letting its explicit tutorialness damper the overall mood. But before I say anything else, even though I'm only focusing on the first area, Undertale is a game that deserves a blind playthrough if possible, so if you're even remotely interested in the game, I urge you to stop this video now and play it first. Alright, spoiler warning accounted for, let's begin. So on a first playthrough of Undertale, it'll probably take around 15 to 30 minutes to get out of the ruins and into the wild and wacky worlds beyond. But despite that, the core mechanics of the game are taught to us right from the very beginning in two key rooms. In the first, we're all alone with nothing to do but learn the simple controls, which we then use to guide us to the second, more important room, but hey, we learned the controls without instructions being flashed on screen. That's a plus in my book. In the second room, we meet the game's main antagonist, Flowey, and this scene with him is critical because it sets up several of the game's ideas very naturally. First, his friendly, cute demeanor quickly morphing into something that is, decidedly not friendly and cute, helps set the notion that this will be a very unpredictable time. Undertale loves to constantly keep you on your toes. Seriously, from beginning to end, it's just about impossible to predict what'll happen next, and Flowey sets that tone very concretely. His mantra of kill or be killed also establishes a major theme of the game, where we're firmly told time and time again to reject this notion of senseless violence, and to do everything we can to treat each NPC with beautiful, thunderful kindness. Last and most importantly, he introduces the game's bullet hell based combat system. We'll get many chances to practice battling as we move deeper into the ruins, and of course the mechanic expands over time, but the simple action of either running into or avoiding Flowey's friendliness pellets sets up the foundation for all monster encounters moving forward. So right before brutally murdering us, the scene is thankfully interrupted by Toriel, our mother figure, and okay, this is common knowledge by now, but her name is Toriel because she is literally a walking tutorial, and I know it's not that clever, but I really like that little detail. Anyway, Toriel is our wonderful goat mom lady, and she guides us through the ruins before quickly introducing us to the game's juicy moral center. See, Undertale's tagline is, the friendly RPG where nobody has to die. But there's no way a player would know that at first without prior knowledge. After all, this is an RPG, I mean, it's as bare bones an RPG as they come, but point is, I'm sure most of us are accustomed to killing anybody and anything that gets in our way in these types of games. So I find Undertale's ability to instruct us not to kill quite interesting considering the previous events. Toriel is so kind to us that we immediately feel the urge to trust her, even after interacting with a sadistic flower who just moments ago pretended to be exactly as kind and trustworthy. But despite their opposing viewpoints, it's clear that Toriel is the real deal, and thankfully the temperament of the monsters makes it quite clear that they're indeed not here to hurt us, at least not intentionally. Most of them are actually just trying to interact with us or even act in self-defense based on their predisposed distrust of humans, so it becomes second nature to do what we can in order to avoid causing them any harm. Which brings us to the now expanded battle system. Battling in Undertale is really neat because it combines quick puzzles with heart-pounding bullet hell sequences. The puzzles come in the form of figuring out how to offer monsters mercy, which involves finding the correct way to spare them in order to peacefully maneuver out of the jam, collecting some valuable gold as a result. It's never a gauntlet trying to figure out the correct way to spare a monster. We have to select between what is usually 2 to 4 act options that we have to choose in a specific order, but figuring out the right order does require a certain level of deduction, especially later in the game. The adventure Tetra scales in difficulty very gradually as well, and we get some of that here in the ruins when we occasionally have to engage with 2 enemies at once, which makes the bullet hell sections more difficult and adds extra turns to each fight. There are more than a few opportunities down here to practice battling and getting more accustomed to the game's controls and wonderful sense of humor. Personally speaking, I'm a big fan of the fights with this carrot in particular, which is really silly overall and has a unique section where you have to run into a specific one of their attacks in order to succeed. But throughout the entire area, we're guided by, or at the very least have access to, Toriel. After gaining our trust and at one point literally holding our hand through a puzzle, she eventually leaves us on our own so she can go off and bake us a pie. While alone, we continue solving some pretty simple puzzles featuring hidden switches and talking rocks, which are just as memorable as anything else the game throws at us. We also get to practice our conversational skills during one of the best early battles, a quote-unquote fight between us and a self-depreciating ghost named Napstablook. Seriously, I love the Napstablook fight, and I still listen to their theme during my runs. I don't have a lot more in depth to say about this, but it's easily one of my favorite moments in the game, and it does a great job of reaffirming Undertale's overall message of kindness. Between all of this, Toriel will occasionally call in, which, along with the area's very relaxing background track, reinforces the peaceful atmosphere as a whole. In addition, we can call her ourselves if we want to say hello or be a weirdo and flirt with her, but these solo moments cement what we've already learned, that this is a game full of deduction-based battles with fun dodging sections, that we should expect overworld puzzles that aren't overly complex but still very fun to figure out, and that we should continue to do our best to be as non-violent as possible. As non-violent as possible. This feels like a good opportunity to address the elephant in the room. As many of you likely know, non-violence isn't the only way to play Undertale. If you're into being bored and unhappy, you can try out the genocide route, where you completely ignore the game's advice and brutally murder anything that even breathes around you. I have never played the game this way for 2 reasons. 1, it isn't intended, and it's probably only there in the first place because creator Toby Fox anticipated that some fans would try it out. And 2, it just doesn't look like any fun at all. Even for the novelty of it, it seems so tedious. I mean, this is my opinion and I can understand why others would enjoy the grind and the creepy experience that comes with it, but I think it's fair to say that Toby Fox designed this route to be boring in order to discourage players from even attempting it. And that certainly worked for me because even watching footage of the route bores me. I mean, until the last fight, which I won't spoil, but yeah, point is, it's certainly cool that Undertale includes what is pretty much an entirely different campaign deep in its files, but it's not a mode I have any interest in playing, and in case it isn't clear, I'm writing this script with the knowledge that the pacifist route is the correct way to play. What can I say? I'm a sucker for happy endings, I guess. This has been a very long sentence and I refuse to trim it down. But with that out of the way, let's get to the real meat and potatoes of this area. Towards the end of the ruins, we reunite with Toriel, who's baked us that aforementioned pie and introduces us to our new home. Hold on, lady. New home? I'm a human kid. I don't want to stay down here with talking frogs. I'd very much like to go back to the surface, please. This is when the brilliance of the game starts to become clear and things are kicked up a few notches. So pretty much, Toriel refuses to let us leave when we bring it up, she talks to us about snails, she threatens to blow up the door to the rest of the game. Obviously we can't let that happen. I mean, if she destroys access to the rest of the game, there's no more game and we wasted like $15 on this. So she responds by initiating a battle, and my god, the battle with Toriel is absolutely incredible in every way. This battle is actually one of the most difficult in the whole game to succeed at. That's what makes it so brilliant. I mean, mechanically it's a very easy battle. When our health gets low enough, her attacks start automatically dodging, and while it's still possible to die, it's difficult to do so unless we're trying to make it happen. She doesn't want to hurt us, in fact she's actively trying to protect us by illustrating the dangers of what lies beyond. She's pleading with us, urging us that if we can't handle this, we won't be able to handle it out there. What we do next is up to us to figure out. Do we act, as we have been up until this point, I hope? Well, if we keep doing that, eventually the game makes it clear that doing so won't have any effect, so we're just wasting time. Do we flee? We can, but if we run, we can't go anywhere, so... I mean, yeah, I guess we can run, but that kind of ends the game, so that's not really an option. So that leaves us with 2 choices. Fight or spare. Okay, to be clear, the intended solution is to spare her 24 times, which will cause her to give us a hug and allow us to leave. But that's the intended solution, because if we can't figure that out and choose to fight her, she dies. She f***ing dies! And here's where I have to make a bit of a confession. The first time I played Undertale, I killed her. I killed Toriel. That's the genius of this stupid fight. I don't think I've ever had a video game make me feel genuine feelings like I did after killing Toriel. I thought I had to kill her, and I know I'm not the only one. Choosing to fight absolutely sucks. It feels wrong to even use the fight option. It looks almost alien and unlike anything else we've seen. But for the life of me, I had no idea I had to keep sparing her, despite a frog kind of hinting at the solution earlier in the area, and I thought that she'd let me go right before she dropped dead or something like that. I didn't think I'd actually kill her! And that's why it's one of the hardest fights in the game, and that's what makes the ruins one of my favorite video game starting areas of all time. In Undertale, you have to spare these f***ing monsters! It's not always easy, and it's not always obvious what exactly you need to do, but there is always a way. It's a game that really made me feel the weight of my choices in a way that I've never experienced in a game before, and I cherish my first playthrough for that reason. I'll still never forgive myself for killing Toriel though. With that being said, you might be asking yourself, well, what would have happened if Anthony simply reset his save file and spared Toriel on a second run like the lying degenerate that he is? I'll be honest, I didn't think of doing that on my first playthrough. I was so floored by my successful murder that I just kept playing in a bit of a fog, but it is possible to simply quit the game, reload before the fight, and spare Toriel on a second attempt. But the game remembers, and it rubs that fact in your face. See, dead or alive, after fighting Toriel, Flowey will be there, waiting to torment you before exiting the ruins. If you're smarter than I am and you spared her on your first attempt, he'll just taunt you, reminding you that you can't be a saint forever, kill or be killed, yada yada yada. But if you killed her and then save scummed in order to undo it, he will absolutely rip into you for it. In fact, Toriel will even make a comment about how you look like you've just seen a ghost right before she initiates the fight. It's nuts! And I bring this up because it underlines another one of Undertale's biggest themes being introduced in these opening moments that many players won't even see. The metatextual relationship between ourselves and the game, and the power we have as de facto gods amongst these creatures. It's a theme that'll only be expanded on as we play, and it's one that I don't want to talk too much about, both because it's getting into some major spoiler territory, and also because I'm an idiot who can't really explain concepts like this well, but like I said in the beginning, Undertale is a game that keeps you on your toes, and it's gonna go to some weird places by the time it wraps up. Look, at the end of the day, this game isn't perfect, and in fact, even this opening area isn't perfect. I personally feel that there are too many random encounters. I really despise random encounters in general, though you can flee them with ease if you don't mind losing out on the gold. But Undertale is an experience, as cheesy as that sounds. It's a game that relishes in the unexpected, an absolute masterpiece of storytelling, humor, and mechanics that really deserves all the praise it's gotten over the years. Sure, some people might have been turned off by the memes and hype and whatnot, I get it, but if any of you Undertale doubters are out there watching this, I can assure you that this is a game worth playing regardless of the strong reactions it inspired in its heyday. And the Ruins is a perfect introduction to a nearly flawless package, a starting area that features everything that makes the game great, backed up by some incredible music in a game that's already chock full of just so much incredible music. I can keep on gushing about the haha funny meme game for 2 weeks until I upload my next video, so let me cut myself short. Play Undertale if you haven't, and if you have, for the love of God, talk to me about Undertale. Seriously, I played this game 2 years ago and I still think about it all the time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.